Hi everyone, and welcome to my sewing room. If you haven't been to this channel before, my name is Rosemary and this is Enchanting Rosemary Sewing and Embroidery. Okay, so welcome back everyone. I have to make a confession. I have been trying to do some different kinds of videos. I've done something on the scanning. I've done some things on doll making. I've done some things on the print moda and of PE Design 11, which is something I really enjoy doing. And I'm kind of at this point in the summertime just trying to figure out what to do something next. Some of you know that I do what's called Sew Fun at my work. I work at Rocky Mountain Sewing and Vacuum in Colorado, and I do presentations of different kinds of projects and stuff, quilting and sewing and doll making and all different kinds of things. And if you're curious about what Sew Fun is, you could go to YouTube, Rocky Vacuum, Sew Fun, and you'll find me doing a video and doing my presentation, and you'll get to see it even if you're not in Colorado. And that involves a lot of different kinds of projects that I work on. I just finished doing it in May, and I'm already working on my next September one, and I'm going to make a quilt that has bats on it because it's September, and September leads into Halloween, so I thought a bat quilt would be really fun. So I told all of that to you just to kind of say that I thought maybe it would be fun for me just to show you a little bit of a process of making this quilt. It's all done with a little tiny triangle sewn together that creates bats, and I just thought it might be really fun. So that's what we're going to do in today's video. So first, let's go to the cutting table, and I'm going to show you the process of setting this up to get started. Okay, so I'm at my cutting table and I want to show you the design that I have. This is called Bats, and it is a pattern by Cut Sew, and it is literally pieces that are sewn together. It's not paper piecing. It is taking triangles and cutting them and putting them onto other rectangles and sewing them together and ending up with a bat, which is kind of a new experience for me. I haven't done that before. Obviously, this is not my pattern. It's by somebody else, so I'm not going to give you exact measurements or anything, but I just wanted to kind of show you my process of putting it together and how I'm going to end up making it into a quilt. And one of the first things when I first saw this pattern that I thought was really fun is I'm not going to do it the way it is designed to do it. I always try and shake things up and do it differently. I'm going to use this gray fabric in the background, and it's gray and it's got little tiny bats all over it. By the way, I get most of my fabric from a little store here in the Arvada area that's called Little Sandy's. I love her stuff. She has beautiful fabrics, and I think 90% of the fabrics that are going to be in this quilt is going to come from her. So this is going to be the background pieces, and then I have these cute little witch legs. And then this is a scrap that I bought also from Little Sandy's last year that's got spider webs on it. And then here's some pumpkins and some kitty cat skeletons, and then this one just has little spiders and is purple. So lots of different colors instead of just plain black and white. All the bats will be a different color and the background will be that gray. So I think it'll be a lot of fun to make. We're going to see how it comes out. As I said before, I haven't done anything like this before. And this is a fabric that I have left over from a quilt I made my daughter-in-law and my son last year. That's got Nightmare Before Christmas on it, but there's little bones and I thought they'd be cute. And so you start out with these big strips and a whole bunch of little teeny tiny squares. So we're going to take it to the sewing machine and we're going to take it step by step and see if we can't make this bat and see what it comes out to look like. Okay, so I've got all my little pieces all here lined up on my sewing machine, and I've got the pattern right here. And when I open the pattern and I look at it, I realize that basically the first step is just basically making a flying geese. I have to tell you that most patterns that you read are going to tell you read all the directions first and then go back and do them one step at a time. And there's nothing wrong with that, reading all the directions. But sometimes you read the directions to putting something together and your first instinct is, oh my gosh, maybe I'm not going to do this. I don't like this pattern. It's too complicated. And I'll do that when I'm making a purse or something, because I just get overwhelmed with all the steps. So even with this, something as simple as these little bats, I'm going to take them one step at a time. And the first step is basically telling me to take this little rectangle and this little square, take the little square, put it over the rectangle, and mark it. And I am going to mark it with a friction pin, because I love friction pins. They disappear when you iron over them. I have a little tiny square ruler. I'm going to put it right angles across it, and I'm going to mark it. Now, I have a friend, her name is Gail, and we decided way back in January that this is going to be the year of the points. We're going to get our points on our flying geese exactly right. We're not going to get them so small that we cut them off, and we're not going to make them too long. We're going to try and make them come out the way they're supposed to. And one of the steps to doing that is mark your diagonal line, because this is so small. I would think I can do that. I can eyeball that. I can sew straight across that with no problem. But if it comes out just a little bit wonky, it's not going to fold back properly, and you're not going to get a good flying geese. So take a second and mark it, and you'll be much happier with the results. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to put this on my sewing machine, and I'm going to sew this with the needle just one little tiny hair on the right side of that line, so it's going towards the outside of this triangle, and that'll give me just a little bit extra fabric to fold back to make sure that my flying geese doesn't come out wonky. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew that. See, I didn't get that exactly where I wanted. I'm going to move it just a little bit more over, and I'm going to sew that. And I'll do another one with the camera a little bit closer so you can see what I just did. Okay, so let's do another one. It says I need 5 of these flying geese. So I'm going to take this, rectangle. I'm going to lay the other one so the right sides are together. I'm going to lay my ruler so that it is diagonal. And I'm going to mark this with a nice line. Then we're going to put it under my foot so that my needle is almost right on my marked line, just slightly to the right. And I'm going to sew straight across that diagonal line. And then let's hit the cutter. And then I'm going to take a little pair of scissors. This is already sewn, so we don't have to go to the cutting table and go ahead and make sure we cut a straight line, because we don't have to worry about whether this is straight or not. We're just going to cut it. And that's okay if it's a little bit crooked. When I push it back like this, I can finger press it back out of the way. Like that. That looks pretty good. So now let's take the other one and put it across it on the other side like this, and then put this across that like that, and then let's mark that one. And put it under the needle and sew that. Whoops. Seems like sometimes I misjudge where my needle is going to come down at. There we go. Straight across. Hit the scissor cutter. Lift it. Cut this. Push it back. And I think that is a pretty good flying geese. I think that's going to do. I have to make 5 of these, so I'm going to do that, and then I'll come back with the next step. Okay, so we're here we go. So here's all 5 of my flying geese right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then once you've made those, it's really pretty easy to figure out the next step, because they are literally telling you to take that long rectangle and put 2 little squares on the corner and do it the same as the flying geese, but of course just at the top. And then you're creating this at the bottom. And then you take another large rectangle and do the same thing. You're going to sew the squares. In fact, let's put it right here. You're going to take it and you're going to draw your line, sew your square onto the corner, cut that part off, and flip them back like this to create a completely different shape. So let's put my ironing mat here and let's iron those out so they're flat. So there's that one, and this one, and this one. Okay, so that's basically all of our pieces. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take 2 of these flying geese that we had that were smaller, and we're going to take this longer piece and we're going to take the 2 flying geese and we're going to line them up against each other like this and literally turn that into, I didn't mean the word literally, that's ridiculous, but we're going to sew these together and sew it to this one. And I'm not going to take it to the sewing machine because you basically already know the process of doing that. So I'm just going to kind of show you that I'm going to take these 2 pieces and I'm going to sew them right sides together and then open them up. And then I'm going to put them on the bottom of this piece. And then I'm going to do it twice so I have 2 wings. And then I'll come back and show you what I'm going to do next. Okay, so I did that. I sewed the 2 flying geese on the bottom of this one, and this is my wing right here, and here's my second wing right here. And then this piece right here, you take the last of the flying geese and you sew it across the top of the one that you put the 2 squares on the bottom, and then you line them up so that they look like a bat. And then you have some of these longer strips here in the pattern, and they'll tell you exactly what size that you want those to be, but you just put one on each corner like this. And what's really cool about this pattern is that the last step as you finish up the bat on each one of them are going to be different. Some of them they're going to have just these, some of them they're going to have triangles to turn it a different direction or something. So each one is in a different angle throughout the quilt. So it's just kind of fun. But this is the basic of putting this bat together, and I think it is just so cute. So I'm going to go ahead and sew these last few seams and put it together, and I'll be back just in a minute to show you what my block looks like.
Okay, well, I hope you thought that was a lot of fun to make that little bat square, and I'm going to keep working on it, and I'm going to make a lot of different kinds of little bat blocks and sew them all together. And obviously I can't do that in a couple of hours. It's actually going to take me about maybe a week, maybe a little bit longer for me to get that quilt all put together. And then once I've got it put together as a quilt top, I thought it might be fun to go to my friend Gail's house where we have the long arm and actually show you how we put it on the long arm and do the quilting. Excuse me. I'm going to sneeze. Anyway, back to what I was saying before. I want to show you my bat square because I thought it came out really cute. It looks like a bat. I already showed it to my daughter and she was like, that's my quilt, right, Mom? But I thought it was really cute. And the pattern itself, if you saw the cover of it, has them turned all different directions. And I'm going to stick to my idea of making them all different colors. So I think it'll be a really fun Halloween quilt. So make sure you come back and see the next video that I do where I'm going to finish that up. In the meantime, make comments and ask questions. If you've got questions about PE Design 11 or the Still Air sewing machine, I'd be really happy to answer them. I have to tell you, if you've heard rumors, yes, Brother is coming out with a new sewing machine. I don't know anything more than you do. You can probably check out brother's YouTube channel, and they give you little tiny clues, but they're not letting out anything out yet. It'll be a couple of weeks, but there definitely will be a new sewing machine, and we'll find out what it's like, and that will just give me all sorts of things to talk about. I can't wait. It should be really cool. But in the meantime, just, continue to ask me questions, and if you enjoyed this video on making a quilt, let me know that too, because I'd like to make some more quilts, because I have a lot of fun doing some different things on my sewing machine, and I'm always looking for new content. So anyway, in the meantime, I hope you're having a great summer, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.